What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Mike Robinson, and this is another episode of Let's Take a Walk. I hope everybody had a good, safe week and got through this cold. I know here in Virginia it was cold, but I don't know some other places you guys might have had a nice summer or something. But we had a lot of snow. Well, we had some snow here, and it was crazy, but whatever. We made it to this day. And so, as usual, Let's Take a Walk is providing another awesome guest. We have Miss Elena Alexander. She is a pharmacist, a licensed certified pharmacist. She is an entrepreneur. She is a woman of business, and I cannot wait to sit down with her and kind of pick her brain about everything that she has going on. For those of you who may not be familiar with her movement, I'm going to give her a couple of minutes to kind of like reintroduce herself and give a little background to all that she has going on, because she has a bag full. So I'll give her the floor. It's on you.
Great. Thank you, Mike. And thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be on tonight. So, hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Elena Alexander, or Dr. Laney, as I'm known on social media. Born in Palatka, raised in East Palatka, Florida. I graduated from University of Florida with my bachelor's in biology, moved on to pharmacy school at the McWhirter School of Pharmacy in Birmingham, Alabama. Came back to University of Florida for my master's, and also got board certified in medication therapy management. So that was all the schooling. So I am the CEO and founder of A Squared Pharmacy Solutions. It's a pharmacy services clinic, so not your traditional retail pharmacy where medications are dispensed. I'm focusing more on clinical services like diabetes prevention and education, smoking cessation, COVID testing, vaccines. Oh goodness, we have the COVID therapeutics, so folks that get COVID that are sick, but not sick enough to go to the hospital. They can just be treated in office and go home. Student mentoring, public speaking, healthcare conference consulting, like all just a mixed bag of things. I started out in retail pharmacy with a 3-letter company. I'll leave them nameless. Let's see. And actually before that, I started at a small independent pharmacy in Gainesville. And that's where I got, so it looks like A2 online, but it's really A squared. And small story, we used to have to initial everything. Well, you do have to initial everything in pharmacy when you count narcotics or controlled substances, or if you're checking in meds. So I got tired of writing AMA, which is my initials. So I started writing A squared, as one of my colleagues gave me that moniker. So that was cool. So it's A Squared Pharmacy Solutions. About me, I guess my story, growing up, like many of us, children were seen, not heard. So I grew up muting myself and not speaking up for myself, and kind of retreating whenever I was faced with adverse situations. And that carried over into adulthood. And so I found myself in situations in the workplace where I wasn't happy, felt overworked, underpaid, but I wasn't saying anything either. So it took me a while, but I found my voice. And when I, voiced my concerns and opinions and my needs, and it wasn't met, I was out there. And so hence A Squared Pharmacy Solutions was born. So now I'm able to speak my mind freely. And the changes that I wanted to see, I can make them happen on my own, and hopefully do the same for my employees, allow them to voice their concerns and make appropriate changes. So I guess that's me in a nutshell.
Okay. You almost did the entire interview before I can even start. No, that's all good though. Um, let's start at the beginning. I mean, what prompted you to even, enter into such a complex field?
Hmm. I always knew I wanted to help people. I've always had a servant's heart, and originally I wanted to be a pediatrician until I realized I didn't like to see children sick.
Mm,
um, with my sister's children, they had a little runny nose, and I was ready to go cry in the corner. So I was like, maybe pediatrics isn't the way.
yeah.
So I took a course my very first semester of college, and it kind of overviewed all of the health professions. So dentistry, pharmacy, medicine, and I was like, pharmacy. And I'd always grown up around pharmacy. My mom worked for Eckerd's um, when we were young, and we would go to work with her in the summer. That's how we spent time with our mom. So
Mm,
I would always find my way back to the pharmacy and kicking it with the pharmacy crew. So I was always around pharmacy. By the time I got to college, like I was helping my grandmother with her medications and everything. So I was like, okay, I think pharmacy is a good route. I can still help people, and if I don't have to see crying babies, I don't have to. So
mm,
it's kind of how I found my way into pharmacy.
wow. This is something that I've wanted to ask a health professional for a long time.
Uh oh.
Um, is 100%, can you ever be 100% healthy, like in every facet of your life? Like, is that even realistic to think that I could be perfectly healthy at all times?
Good question. I think maybe it's more of a balance, and I guess maybe that's a no short answer. You have mental health, physical health, spiritual health. I think it's a balancing act. There may be times where you are spot on with your physical health and your spiritual health, but your mental health may be lacking, kind of like a seesaw, or
Mhm.
maybe someone on a unicycle is a better example, or maybe driving a car. There's always some type of correction that has to go on to make sure you're staying in between the lines or being able to
Right.
balance on the unicycle. So I don't know if we will ever be 100% in all the areas, but um, maybe flexing between different percentages for each of the areas.
Yeah, that's a question that I've always wanted to ask a health professional, because I mean, every day, literally, we're
Mhm.
hearing some type of new breakthrough treatment, new breakthrough drug, new breakthrough vaccine, new breakthrough regimen that you can do, some exercise, whatever. You know what I mean? And so I just always wondered, like, with everything that we take in, is it even possible to be, completely perfectly healthy? And then as far as mental health, like you mentioned, you know what I mean? Who determines what you know m- uh positive mental health or perfect mental health is? Who determines that? You know what I mean? That's really interesting. But
Mhm.
I digress. uh,
That's a good point. Like we're not all monolithic. So I
right,
could be in a good mental space,
mhm,
and for you or my neighbor, that could be a wreck. You know,
right,
so
right,
individualize. That's a good point. Good point.
right. So do you realize that you are a woman of color entering this field? Are you ever conscious of that fact, or do you just strictly see it as the career that you're choosing because you have a passion for it or whatever? But are you conscious of the fact that you're a woman of color doing this? So I guess I'm asking, are you a black pharmacist or a pharmacist that happens to be black?
Ooh, that's a good. Okay, yes, very conscious.
Mhm.
I'm a black pharmacist, absolutely, and that's important. I know sometimes there can be areas where folks express they don't see color. but I need you to see that I'm a Black pharmacist, and we need to handle situations accordingly because I'm a
Mhm.
Black pharmacist. But for the first part of the question, yes, this is a passion of mine. I do feel like I'm fulfilling my purpose, which is, of course, to show God's love through my service to others and serving underserved areas. Because growing up in East Palatka, I know what it's like to not have quality healthcare readily accessible. Like we would always drive hour to Jacksonville, 45 minutes to Gainesville, 30 minutes to St. Augustine because you want to go to the good hospital, right? So I know what that's like. So I'm trying to expand access to quality healthcare services to more, and I stumble on this word all the time, rural areas.
Right, right.
But yes, I am a Black pharmacist. I'm a proud Black pharmacist. Um, it doesn't make me better than the next, but it makes me different in all the wonderful ways that it does. And it's a it's a proud moment. Like when I used to walk into rooms and I would feel maybe a little intimidated if I was the only person of color. But now I walk in and I feel proud because I get to represent my people and my culture and my
Mhm.
heritage. And, my grandmother who has a third grade education, she can sit up in her chair a little taller when I walk into the room. So
Wow,
I love
wow,
it. I'm a Black pharmacist all day, every day.
right. That is awesome.
Mhm.
That is awesome. And to your point, that was gonna be one of my questions. Living in an area where it's not necessarily served and from that point of view, medically and that, what are the challenges of that? But you kind of touched on that.
Mhm.
Um, as you know, we are in the middle of a pandemic. Um, Things are constantly changing on a daily basis. I know that at my job, half the time, I don't even know if I'm going to work from day to day. You know what I mean? Because, something happens and they're like, oh, we don't want anybody there. And then the next day they want you all there. And then the next day they say, okay, telework for a week, go in for a week. You know what I'm saying? Everything is constantly
Mm.
changing. How has the pandemic, if you could describe, if you could even put it into words, how has the pandemic affected you and how you conduct your business?
Whew. Well, at the beginning, I was still in corporate pharmacy. So they sent everyone home. I think it was March 2019. Um, so it was a big change from going into the office, 7:30, 8 in the morning, having to fight traffic once we get off around 5. And now I get to work in fuzzy PJs and yoga pants um, every day. It was a big adjustment. So I'm getting more introverted the older I get, but I was good with working from home. It was all right. I mean, I gained a lot of weight because, the fridge is right there. You don't have to walk to the break room or walk down the street to get something to eat. Um, but other than that, it was a big change, but it wasn't so impactful because I was cool working from home. And then after that, I transitioned to another work from home job working with Medicare patients. And then now I'm going back into the field once A Squared opens up. So I'm just kind of buckling my seatbelt because it's been a while. But like I said, it wasn't anything drastic for me because I like working from home. Uh-oh, I can't hear. Something happened.
That was my fault. My fault.
I was like,
I had muted it by accident. My
okay.
fault. Um, from a person to person standpoint, customer service, that whole thing. Um, you see and deal with a lot of things up close. Like you see a lot of sickness,
Mhm,
up close.
mhm,
And like you said, you have a thing about kids being sick and this type of thing. But you see all types of sickness and disease and people of all ages, all backgrounds. Um, is it a challenge not to take that home with you? Like, and how do you separate? How are you able to make the separation?
Mhm.
Because like I said, you see a lot of griefs.
Mhm.
You have the potential to see a lot of grief from day to day.
Mhm.
Um, so how is it a challenge not to take your work home with you as far as that's concerned?
Yes, short answer. It's still something I'm working on. Um, I remember the first time I saw a patient die, like 10 feet in front of me. I was pretty messed up for several weeks. I don't know, we have training on grief and empathy and, grieving families, but I don't know. I still struggle with separating the two. You get a case of a child that's sexually abused or physically abused. It hurts to sit there to have to read the chart. And you get to the medications and treatment plan. You're like, oh wait, you have to take a beat before you can really do your job. um, I'm still working on it. It's definitely a challenge. Um, I've seen HIV patients literally wasting away in a bed, patients with cancer, serious infections where it hurts to brush a Q-tip over it and they're shedding tears. It's difficult. It really is. But, you just have to throw up some good Jesus fire prayer before you go in. Um,
Mhm.
and, I don't know. I think it's kind of necessary to retain that bit of humanity. I don't think it's healthy to completely shut off,
Mhm.
just myself personally, from having a visceral response to things that you see. That's what makes us human. So, but I will rant and rave. God bless my sister and my mom and my fiance.
Mhm.
dump, dump a lot. My therapist dump a lot on them of things that I experience and see. But yeah, it's a work in progress.
Who has been your greatest influence when it comes to being in the pharmaceutical arena? Who has been sort of your mentor or your sort of idol, I guess, for lack of better words? Who has been your greatest influence?
Oh, idols. Well, definitely the first pharmacist I worked with, her name is Lynn Bennett. She's retired now. Um, Taught me so much. That was my first job in a pharmacy was with her. Taught me so much. And my current mentor now is Dr. Pilar Murphy.
Mhm.
She was actually one of my professors in pharmacy school, and I call her. Should probably put her on payroll,
Mm.
retainer or something. But definitely both of them. It was just I saw something in them. I was like, I think I'd like to have that quality of theirs in practice. Try to emulate it. Love
Tell
you,
me,
Pilar.
I'm sorry.
They love you, Lynn and Pilar.
Um, Dealing in the pharmaceutical realm, um, of course, and customer service in general. Um, you have to deal, like I said, you deal with all types of people from all types of backgrounds, all ages. What has it? I'm trying to frame this question right. How do personality traits? What have you learned about yourself that you didn't necessarily know about yourself
Mm.
before beginning this journey?
Mm. I would say that I'm stronger, more resilient than I think.
Mhm.
And I can do more than I think, and also that I'm smarter than I give myself credit for. Like I'm a nerd, unapologetically, always have been. but out of like that same making myself small, it's another part of my story too. Playing it small for some reason, I picked that up too. Had to let that go. Um, I guess that's about it.
Well,
Do more than I think. And if you give me something, you can consider it done. Like I'm gonna find a way. I'm gonna find a way to get it done.
was there anything that you felt like you were um, a little weak in that you feel like you've kind of worked it into shape, so to speak? Or was there anything that you?
Hmm. My confidence,
Mhm.
and also speaking up for myself.
Mm.
Yeah, I
Wow.
always felt like I was being mean, um, if I or maybe felt like I was too aggressive. But yeah, not it. There's a way. Yeah, definitely my confidence in speaking up for myself has come a long way. I remember my very first rotation. I was terrified to counsel a patient on just a little asthma inhaler, like nothing for cancer, heart failure, just an asthma inhaler. Like I couldn't even give three things. My preceptor was like, just pick three things to tell them. Like it's okay, and it was amazing that she was able to identify that in me. So every day I would have somebody to counsel, and I would have to pick three things to tell them about the medicine they were picking up. So thank you, Melissa.
Wow. I honestly, I'm just really kind of like very in awe of what you do for so many different reasons. You know what I'm saying? Not just the fact that the realm that you're in, but you're a woman of color,
Mhm.
um, in a community that isn't necessarily that doesn't necessarily lend itself to that background.
Mhm.
Um, are you aware how important your presence is in that particular community? Like, I was telling someone last week that, you know, our youth do a lot of things that they do because they don't see examples, and they
Mhm.
don't see alternatives. They don't see what they can necessarily be outside of what their immediate surroundings are.
Mhm.
Um, and I always wondered, do you wear that? You know what I'm saying? Are you aware of that? And if you are, do you wear that? Because it's so crazy out here. A lot of the community centers are not there anymore. A lot of the you know programs that were geared towards um, cultivating youth and stuff are not around anymore. So they're kind of like left to their own devices, and again,
Mhm.
not necessarily able to see the alternatives there are to life. You know what I mean? Especially in the community, like like you said. Like m- I graduated high school there,
Mhm.
but I grew up in a big city. I grew up in New York. Like I grew up in a big city. So I kind of I had a mindset, but I can't imagine being in that place with, you know what I'm saying, not being able to really see past your own front door. So I guess I say all that to say, do you understand how important
Mhm.
your presence is, and what you're doing is?
Yes. Um, for the longest, I would not put my hometown on my social media pages. And we used to do this when we were young. Like, we never said we were from Palaca or East Palaca. And they'd be like, where are you from? I'm from Jacksonville. I'm from Miami.
Right,
I'm from
right.
Pittsburgh. But I want to say it's been up there maybe for 2 or 3 years now. I put East Palaca, Florida, because I realized how important it was to let people know where I came from. And also, I realized how integral my humble beginnings were in me becoming the pharmacist I am today. Like, I have no problem going to places that others may be hesitant to go, maybe because of the type of neighborhood, um, or a particular patient setting, because that's where I come from. So I feel right at home. I remember one of my bosses was like, "Are you comfortable going there? Are you sure?" Like, and I've gone to some places where it's like the smells, they may not have running water, or they may not have heat. And I'm right in there. Not say, well, we didn't have air conditioner, but you know what I mean? Like, that's home for me. Like, I'm very familiar with those places. So I realized that being being myself, and tying myself back to Palaka was very important for those who are coming behind me. I post all the time, just tell God what you want and let yourself have it. It's just that simple. Dream as big as you can, and just go for it. You can do it.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like the medical establishment does a good enough job of um making the average person aware of the resources that are available to them in regards to their health, whatever it is, mental health, physical health, spiritual health, whatever? Does the medical establishment do enough to educate us?
Good question. I think we're trying. There's always room for improvement, though. And that is one of the greatest barriers to care, for people of color, is access to resources. And then there's also literacy and health literacy, issues, but there's definitely room for improvement. Um, we're trying. We could be better though, but we're trying.
Yeah, I recently um recovered from COVID. I had COVID like 2 weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago,
Oh my goodness! I'm glad you.
and I mean, it wasn't the first day was really bad, but after that, symptoms began to subside with each day, and so to the point where I'm at now, where I'm healed. I'm good. I'm good. I don't feel any pain, thank God. Because I've heard some of the horror stories that others have had or whatever. But I've read that a lot of people are passing away because they have um, pre-existing
Conditions.
ailments,
Yes.
whatever, pre-existing ailments. And so,
Mhm.
um, what do you plan? Do you plan on? Do you plan on adding education to what you're doing now with through your pharmaceutical, brand?
Yes. So I use my social media pages as kind of like the educational face of the company. Just so happens it was up first. But a lot of information that you have to pay for, I dish it out for free. I haven't posted as much in the last couple of months because my attention has been focused on the brick and mortar. But I do plan to gear that back up once my brick and mortar doors are open. But I'm always bumping my gums on social media about something. Because remember, I found my voice, so she's out there. um, but definitely, education is key, especially when you have so much misinformation and disinformation about um, the pandemic, coronavirus, the vaccines, the treatments. It's really important to be a voice of reason, and provide sound information to people.
Well, let's shift gears a little bit. We've touched a lot on the medical part,
Mhm.
but Who are you? Um, and I asked that, are you is is Elena the pharmacist the same as Elena the woman? Do you ever do you have to separate the two? Like, do you is it a challenge just knowing who you are from day to day? Because people have a tendency to see you in a certain way, no and no matter what venue you're in, no matter where you're that. You know what I mean? So and particularly being, in the medical field, people expect you. I'm quite sure that people expect you to know everything.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Hey, come. Hey, I got this pain in my back. What is it? You know what I'm saying? Um, how hard is it to keep your identity?
Ooh, very good question. So yes, that's been happening since I enrolled in pharmacy school. I'm like one
Mhm.
semester in, and like I got this pain in my side. What can I take? I'm like, oh man, I'm just 3 weeks in, dog. Like I can't. You don't even want me to talk to you right now. um, but I mean, I'm a
Yeah,
multi-hyphenate. Like a pharmacist is just one part of me. I'm also a sister, a fiance. I'm a girlfriend. Um, I do dial it back. If somebody does come up to me to be like, hey, hey, Dr. Laney, or hey, I'm like, I'm just Elena. We in church, we worship. Thank you.
right,
Like I'm right now. But
right,
I know that, and one lady said that she was just so proud of me. So every time she saw me, that's how she would address me. So I was like, I get it, but you do have to keep it separate. I tell them I'm Dr. Laney Monday through Friday, 10 to 6. Outside those hours, I'm just Elena. And just
yeah.
I think that's important to not have because some doctors can have what they call the God complex, and for me,
Mm,
that's a way to keep myself grounded. I'm just Elena at the end of the day. I'm just a big student loan bill, and a few years is just the difference between me and the next person. So
right.
that's it.
Wow. So tell me, what role does your family play in everything that you have going on in your process? How how um how important are they in you accomplishing when it comes to you accomplishing your career goal?
Of course, family was and are everything. They're probably on this live right now. Anytime I have anything, they usually beat me logging in to the Zoom or whatever it is. They're like, "Who are these people?" And I'll be like, "They're with me." But even going through school, like I had my aunt Teresa would make food for me to pick up on my way back, driving back to Birmingham, or my grandmother or my mom. Um, my sister says, "Sissy, hey girl." My sister would do the same. They were always right there. Like on days when I thought I couldn't make it, my mom, knowing the bill I had just racked up, she's like, "Baby, come lay on my lap. Come on, you're gonna be okay. Like you'll be all right."
Right.
Anytime I needed someone to pray for me or pray with me, they were right there. Um, Excellent support system. I could not have made it if it wasn't for them. Like when I went across that stage at graduation, we all went across that stage. Yeah.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like you're literally carrying, well, not literally, but figuratively, you're carrying the city on your back. You know what I mean? That has to be a tremendous honor, but also a tremendous challenge at the same time. Um, being and the thing that I find interesting with people such as yourself that um, had major operations. You are the face of it. You are the leader. The buck stops here. You know what I mean? That has to be a heavy crown to wear. Um, but do you do you accept it, You know what I'm saying? Or is that something that you're enduring, or is it something that you just not even really, you don't even really think about as far as that's concerned?
Mm, these are really good questions. Maybe a mix of acceptance. First time I thought about this. Maybe a mix of acceptance and endurance. My Peter Parker moment. Great power becomes a great
Yes,
responsibility.
yeah, exactly.
But I don't know, it's one of those things. I am grateful that I get to be that representation and to carry that. But a part of me is you just figuring it out as you go and just enduring as you go. So I think it's a mix. I think it's a mix of acceptance and endurance.
What is something that um what w- what would be the most in your journey, in your process? What have you found to be the greatest misconception that people have about you?
Oh, greatest misconception. Oh, that's a good one. Um, hmm, that's a good one. Uh, I think maybe since I have a lighter voice, they think that I don't speak a lot. It's like no. Like I may not speak loudly, but I talk a lot. So
Right,
maybe that's one.
right.
Um, Also, usually, aside from being the only person of color in the room, oftentimes I'm the youngest person in the room. And with that, I don't know, some reason they think either I'm a student or that I'm not as experienced because of my age. I'm 35 and some change, but it's not that I lack experience. I just started my hustle a little earlier. I graduated high school when I was 17. I was out of there. I got started early. So got the experience, got the know-how. Like often I'm one of the most decorated people in the room. So I think maybe that's another one. Um, and also I didn't realize this until a couple years ago. There is this, I don't know if it's a stigma, but if you're single and not married, like that's a thing too. With I guess your status or ability, I don't know what that's about, but there's just seemed to be, especially in the South, there's just a little extra oomph if you're married in the room. Um, so I just realized that's a thing a couple years back.
Um, I guess I should have probably asked you this back a little ways back. But being a hometown girl, is that an advantage or is that a disadvantage?
In what regard? Like as far as my
Working within your community, can that is that an advantage or a disadvantage? Because sometimes and the reason why I ask that is that sometimes when it can be harder to be effective when people know you already,
mm-hmm,
or rather they know you prior to
mm-hmm,
this, and
mm-hmm.
so they might see you as Elena from the block, but they never, they can't equate this. They can't, you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
To them, you're still little Elena from East Palaca, you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So is it has it in your process, has it been an advantage or a disadvantage or maybe a mixture of both?
Mm. I think maybe an advantage. I feel I'm more relatable
Mhm.
to those who shared some of the same struggles. For example, all the time at my first three-letter company store, I would, I mean, every day patients come in and they need to pick up their prescriptions. but I only have $12. Which ones can I get? So it just, I guess, gave me more empathy and sympathy with them because I get it. Been there, where you have to make tough choices like that. So I think for me, it's actually been helpful. I did go back to East Palatka and St. Augustine and Gainesville to work for Three Letter Company while I was an intern, and I see family, old friends, and I didn't feel slighted in any way by them because I was this pharmacy intern. Um, and the last time they saw me, maybe I was a high school student. Mm-mm. It was just regular. And they kind of actually, still that sense of pride. Like, go girl. Like, I mean, it took me a while, like I said, to get there to understand just how intelligent, how smart I was. But they always knew it, so it wasn't a shocker, so to speak. I was a dork. That dork getting paid now, though.
So now you're based out of where? Alabama, correct?
Yes. Birmingham metro area.
Wow. So how is that different from where you started?
Um, Let me put my what is it? My PC hat on, my media training hat. Some of the residents of the area are a little different than back home in Florida. Um, how we gonna say this one? You know, some of the residents are different. I'll leave that there. So they have to be, interactions, a little more gingerly. You approach them.
Absolutely. Okay, so on the flip side of the question that I asked you before, I asked you what was the most common misconception that people have about you. On the flip side of that, what will people be surprised to know about you?
Oh. Hmm.
Like I have, do you have? Some people are fiercely competitive. Some people you might have a weird talent. You might be able to play the spoons. Um, you know, I'll interview the lady, and I use her as an example all the time. If you
Okay.
saw her, she was so put together and so very very beautiful lady. You would think that she would never pick up a hammer or a nail or anything, but she said that she does a lot of do-it-yourself projects by herself. I mean, like shelves and stairs and walls and these. But to look at her, you would never think that was the case. So with that, in that respect, what do you think people will be surprised to know about you?
Well, up until I think it's maybe been 2 years, I used to do long distance racing. I'm a big girl, always have been, but I was out there. The longest race I ever did was a half marathon. That was 13.1 miles. So
Wow.
physically, I don't look like I do long distance races, but
Mm.
I was out there. And also, I guess I keep a very pristine yard. Like I have made posts about my hashtag sexy grass. Like I'm out there with the scissors. Like, it is clean.
Sexy grass. Okay.
Yeah.
That's new. I've never heard that before. That's definitely new.
My yard was bald headed. Like AT&T came and dug up some things to put down lines, and when they put
Don't you hate that? Don't you hate that?
up, yes. So she was just bald in certain places. I got out there, like I picked all the rocks out and raked everything back, and it's good now. I'm talking hedges, edging, cutting the grass. I trimmed the tree. Like my yard is pristine.
Yeah. Do you know they came to our house, but not we got a new house, thank God, but the house that we were at prior to this, they actually came in and tore our driveway out. They actually tore our driveway out. We couldn't even go on our driveway. We had to, and it took about a month for them to do whatever it is that they had to do, and then they put our driveway back. That's crazy.
It's
And
horrible.
they don't even have to ask you or anything. They just go in, and it's crazy. But hey, that's another that's for another show. A whole another show. But yeah, that's very interesting.
So, okay, small story. So when I first purchased my home, my dad bought me, leaf blower, edger. I
Mhm.
did my own mower, but I had him on FaceTime, like, Daddy, like, which one? Which one?
Right.
This one. So he pointed me to the mower with the bag on the back. So his yard is the same. See, I get it from my daddy.
Mm, that's good. I try to keep my lawn up. I just recently bought a leaf blower and an edger, and so I'm trying to do my thing now. So I'm trying to. I get you though. I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Um, so we have touched on A Square Pharmaceuticals. We have touched on your family. We've even touched on little bit of your personal life. Um, we talked briefly before we came on about some events that you're planning.
Mhm.
Um, you want to kind of expound on that? I mean, I know you didn't really have any iron dates, but
Yeah.
still share.
Thank you. So, of course, the grand opening of A Square Pharmacy Solutions is coming up. I have my last inspection on Monday. Prayerfully, he will walk out and hand me my permit on his way out the door. So after that, it's going to be a grand opening week. So of course, I'll have virtual tours of the pharmacy. You can stop by in person. We're going to have the ribbon cutting ceremony with myself and the mayor. I'm going to have giveaways, merchandise. Um, it's going to be great. So just keep locked on my social media. Once I have some dates locked in, then of course, I'll post everything there and on my website. But I'm excited. It's been
Did you say the mayor? You said the mayor is going to come?
Yes, the mayor's coming out for your girl. Yes, so apparently they have like these 12, 15-pound scissors that I'm
Yeah,
gonna cut the ribbon with. So it's
that's awesome.
yeah.
So overall, right? I'm on the outside looking in.
Okay.
What what do you want me? If I'm on the outside looking in, seeing everything that you're doing, everything that you have going on, everything that you're building,
Mhm.
what should I get? What should I? What should that show me about you? Like, what would you want me to take from seeing what you do? What can I learn about you? What would you want me to learn about you just by seeing everything that you're doing?
Mm.
If that makes sense.
Mhm. It is so important and imperative to have purpose and vision for everything that you do, and like sound things, not for fame or surely not for money, especially if you're in healthcare. Don't do it for the money. But to have sound purpose and vision for what you do. And I mean, I can do hard things. I can do all things through Christ. Um, and so that all that you see, there's a tribe and a village that's pushing me behind. It's not just me. Um, I've got
Okay.
people.
This is going to be my last my last official question. It's a question that I ask all my guests. And when I ask you, I just want you to take a moment and just kind of think about it for a second, and then give me the most honest and transparent answer that you can. All
Okay.
right,
Okay.
here we go. The question is, what would have to happen in your life, if it hasn't happened already, for you to consider your life a success? What is success for you specifically?
Ooh. Hmm. Let me take a walk around the house. This is going to take a hot girl minute. Hold on. Ooh, what would have to happen if it hasn't happened yet? Consider my life a success. Ooh. Hmm. I think hasn't happened yet, but whenever I get to Judgment Day and I stand before Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and He looks at me and He was like, "Good job. You did a good job with what I gave you, with the gifts, the talents. You did good." I think my life would be a success then, because that's all we can do is to take what's unique about us and make them happy. And so I think my success will be when I get to that day and oh, I'm getting emotional. Jesus. When I get to that day and He says, "Good job." Um, I've helped a lot of people to this point, and for that, I am thankful. But I have a lot more people to help before that day. So that would be what I consider a successful life, is to make my Savior smile and happy and say, "Job well done, girl. You did that."
Right. Um, for anybody who is watching, this interview, that may have more questions, or may um be in the same field as you, maybe in their beginning processes. Yes, it was an awesome answer. That was an awesome answer.
Thank you.
Um, those who might be in the beginning processes of doing, what you're doing, how can people get in touch with you?
Sure. So I'm very easy to find. Same handle for all social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat. It's at Dr. Laney, DoctorLany. LinkedIn, they put my official government name on there. It's Elena Alexander. You
Mhm.
can email me hello at drlaney.com. Um, yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, and phone number to A Squared Pharmacy Solutions is 205-547-0654.
Nice, nice, nice. Okay. I want to thank you for coming on the platform. I really appreciate it. I know that I'm motivated. Now I'm getting ready to get off of here, and then I'm gonna go and Google some stuff. So maybe I can be a pharmacist by the morning. What you think?
Hey now, all things are possible.
I'll be Dr. Mike by the morning, by 8 o'clock in the morning.
Buckle up.
Um,
Thank you for having me. This was really fun, and you had some really good thought provoking questions. Some things I hadn't thought about before. So thank you for having me. I
no
lied.
problem. No problem. I I'll look forward to having you on again because I would love to do like a health panel with some medical people. Like um I had a holistic doctor on not long ago. That I went to high school with, I grew up with in New York. Um and she has some very interesting information about just holistic health and
Mm-hmm.
using common everyday herbs and vegetables and all that type of thing to cure all types of different things. And so, and as you can imagine, it's probably a big challenge between the medical community and the holistic community. And so I would love to do something like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I look forward to having you on hopefully again in the near future. And
Yeah.
again, I thank you for, taking the time out because I know you could be doing a zillion things other than this. And I just really appreciate it.
Lame. I'll probably be asleep. No, thank you. This is great, and I look forward to coming back.
Absolutely. Shout out to your family. I'm not sure. It's Tanya
Yeah.
and Miss Linda Alexander. Shout out to you.
Yes.
Um, do you have a church home?
Yes.
Shout out your church and your pastors and all of that.
New Vision Christian Church, Helena, Alabama. The pastor is Vancy Hauser and the lady Kendrelyn Hauser. Love y'all. They're part of my tribe too.
Absolutely. So again, I want to thank you, and I want to thank everybody that saw fit to come on tonight.
And shout
Um,
out
I,
to thing, Ronald. Hey boo.
okay, that's very nice. Um, but again, I thank you and I appreciate you, and I hope you have a blessed weekend. And I wish blessings on everything that you have coming up, the grand opening, and all the programs and events that you plan on doing from this point on. I pray blessings upon them, and I know that you're going to do very, very well because I can tell that you're very driven and very focused. And so keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Blessings on blessings to you all this year too. We're gonna get you on
Thank you.
iTunes, Google Podcasts, all those places.
Sir. Thank you.
Tomorrow.
Okay. Okay. Well, you have a great weekend, and we
You.
will talk very, very soon.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right. There you go, guys. Another great interview with another great guest. I hope you learned as much as I did. It's so important for us to highlight the accomplishments and the gifts and the talents of our brothers and our sisters because if we don't do it, there are not many platforms or arenas that they can showcase and expose themselves to those who need it, first of all, and those who are, inspired to go in the same direction or just need another example. You know, I think that what she's doing is super important, even more than maybe she even knows. You know what I mean? Because just being a woman and then a woman of color in the deep South, doing anything, dealing with medical situations. Listen, I'm in awe of it, and I think that we, even as kids and adults alike, we all need to see alternatives. We all need to see examples of people doing their thing to let us know and remind us that we can do what we set out to do as well. So, I hope everybody was, you know, fed and reached by this interview. I thank you guys for coming out, um, and I appreciate you. Oh, and the frontline workers. Shout out to my girl Anika McKinney. She is a traveling nurse. She is doing her thing. Um, I said her whole government, but I don't think she cared. Um, but yeah, shout out to them. Um, and anybody who, no, but seriously though, anybody who, um, you're welcome, Nick, um, takes the takes anybody who takes the initiative to do things that the average person doesn't. To be courageous and step out on faith and do what they feel led to do. We all need to know about it. We all need to support it. We all need to lift it up and expose it and shine light on it so that it can reach the highest potential that it can reach. You know what I mean? And that's what, this platform is, geared towards doing. Um, I think it's absolutely dope what she's doing. I think it's absolutely brave. Absolutely, it's just, I'm in awe. But again, I look forward to having her on again and again. You guys, not to talk y'all to death, but I thank y'all for coming on, and I appreciate you taking a moment to sit down with us. Please, if you can, please go to the YouTube page and check out the interview. I need you to like and share and subscribe. We're trying to get our subscribers up, so please look at the little ticker on the bottom. You can just type that in on the search engine in YouTube and go in and just like it, share it, tell people about it, and let's get this word of mouth going, and let this be a place of influence. Okay. Well, with that being said, I'm going to let you guys go, and I will see you next week when we have another awesome guest come on and talk about. Well, I'm gonna keep that to myself. Y'all just tune in next week. All right. That being said, we out. Let's take a walk.